I've been having a debate with myself and with Bill O'Reilly, and I think Stu and I are on the same page with Joe Biden. We think he's senile. We think he's going. But he's there enough to make these decisions. These are not senile decisions. These are decisions he's making, and he knows he's making them. But there also is this weird ice cream thing with him. He's constantly having ice cream. They're constantly at ice cream stores. And I heard this and I thought, you know who would know if this is true is Elijah. So ice cream is a sign of possible dementia if you're craving it and you're his age?
Yeah, so there's actually two sides of this that are really interesting, and I want to keep it very simple, assuming that you know nothing about dementia and probably know a lot about ice cream.
Yeah, I know a lot about ice cream.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But essentially when it comes to dementia, right, there's a few different types. Like there's vascular dementia, there's frontotemporal dementia, and Alzheimer's. There's different types of these degenerations in the brain. This has to do with buildup of things like plaques and different types of neurotoxicity. So the point of the matter is that dementia has two problems. There's the biological element, which obviously could be fought with medicine like Prozac or different types of medications. And then there's the behavioral side of it, which is that as you begin to get older in age and are unable to process information, you can start to get confused, disoriented, because you lose the ability to cope with the stress of life, right? A lot of people, when you're younger, you may drink a lot, you may get angry, you may, I don't know, hopefully you don't do anything too destructive, you may go running. As you get older, you lose that ability to cope and the stress builds. And so this is why he doesn't take questions from reporters, because when there's an influx of stimuli, especially from things that you're not prepared for, it can lead you to a state of disorientation, hallucination, and confusion, which is why they always stop the questions, because he needs to compose himself.
Would it also lead to anger?
Oh, yeah. One of the things, too, is if you see him shuffling around and moving around and snapping, is usually one of the main signs is snapping and getting kind of lost, confused, and shuffling around. And you see him with his mask. These are very typical signs of not only early onset, but total onset of dementia. Specifically, I think he has the FTD, the frontotemporal, because, again, with the ice cream where it comes in, is that one of the ways without using drugs or medication that you can treat dementia and that you can help satiate it is by bringing a coping mechanism, a positive coping mechanism that might bring both dopamine release and joy to the individual, and also connect them back to earlier, simpler times.
I got to tell you, dementia has never seemed more appealing to me than right now.
Hey, well, you know what? But I'm saying this is why. So this is just the connotative form of it. Of a very simple way to help people is to give them the ice cream because it's sweet. And honestly, with the FTD, is you have a natural craving usually for sugars. Ice cream's readily available. It doesn't look suspicious, like putting your hands in a full cake and just eating it. Right. Although we've all been there. We've all been there. So there's that. But also on the side of things, there's a lot of new research, biological research, that shows a direct link between consuming certain types of fermented dairy products, including ice cream, that contain hydrogesterol and oleamide and different fatty acids in preventing the degeneration of the brain, especially what's called microglial inflammation.
My brain will live forever.
Yeah, no, and that's why, but honestly, Nancy Pelosi, if you notice with a lot of these politicians who are very old, I mean, you look at the filings for these people, look at how much ice cream they spend on themselves and their older donors and people in their cabinet. It doesn't make sense. Well, it's $10,000+
Couldn't it just be that people really like ice cream?
Well, hopefully that's true. If you're an American, you better be a patriot, love your country, and also like ice cream.
Right? You know, the weird thing is that was Martha Washington's attack. She did not want George to run for a second term. And so the biggest attacks came from his own mother. And the one that she thought had real sticking power was, he is so irresponsible with money. You have no idea what this man spends a year on ice cream. Well,
wow.
My wife might say the same thing about me.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm going to say that it's actually interesting, though, that specifically in one study in Japan, right, there was a link between rice consumption and actual neurodegenerative toxicity, which means that it actually prevents your brain from being healthy, but a direct link between people who consumed a lot of dairy and mental health, psychological health, showing a direct connection. That's how it started, between dairy products and preventing aging in the brain. And so what's really interesting is that the ice cream, because it's readily available and it's delicious, basically the study was saying is that you could have low sugared, partially fermented yogurt or ice cream as the way to try to prevent the onset and development of dementia. And I don't know about you, but when it comes, I mean, yogurt's okay, but if you're going to offer me a spoonful of partially fermented yogurt or a nice scoop of Ben & Jerry's, I know where I'm going with.
I'll go for the fermented, even really moldy yogurt over Ben & Jerry's, but that's for different reasons.
The communist ice cream.
One other question on dementia. I have read and seen photos of the president. For instance, there's this amazing photo of him in the Oval Office, down on his knees in front of a woman, kissing her hand, because I think it was that she had a lot of children, and he was like, "Oh, you are, you women that do this are so, you should be, praised." And he actually got down on his knees and kissed her hand. And then you see other things where he will stop in the middle of a conference and he will just talk to little kids, and he'll kind of baby talk with them a little bit. And the point of this article was that one of the signs of dementia is you no longer know what's appropriate and inappropriate. And so you'll do things that are so clearly inappropriate for any, adult. But you will do the things like he's doing. Like the president should know, you never get down on your knees in the Oval Office unless you're praying.
I think most men, when it comes to meeting new women, don't get on your knees.
Yeah, not a great idea.
In general.
Yeah. I mean, and so he does a lot of these weird things. And I know you're not a doctor, but
But this is the point, actually. It's like, you don't have to be a doctor, and I want to, some of your audience would know this. Obviously, there's a similar type of lack of social cue with certain forms of autism. You don't have to be a doctor if you have an autistic child, or you yourself are autistic,
or Peter Thiel.
Yeah. You will come out and say, "Hey, look, there's a reason why we have these diagnoses is because somebody may feel like if I'm coming onto them, that could be considered assault or inappropriate. But once you find out, let's say somebody touches you inappropriately or something, you go, hey, they have a certain form of autism. They don't understand social cues. That allows us in society to know how to function and relate to that person, because we go, oh, I'll be patient." Sure. I'll teach them, and I will understand where they're coming from. That's why with Joe Biden and dementia, we have that diagnosis with people, because you go, oh, okay, yeah, this guy shouldn't be president. And also, if this old man gets on his knees and kisses my hand, I shouldn't freak out because, he probably has frontotemporal dementia. And I understand that this kind of behavior is normal for people with this degeneration.
Can he have that and still be very, very lucid and making decisions at times?
No, there's no way, because it's called I think it's called sundown syndrome, which is why he goes to bed so early, is like you actually find yourself getting tired early. And you can't handle, like I mentioned earlier, the introduction of new stimuli, because you can't process things quickly. So basically every job descriptor for the president that you need, fast reaction skills, ability to process complex information, the ability to stay up long hours, these basic tenets that would scare most people away from the job are all of the qualifications and skills that Joe Biden cannot physically, this is not just something we can teach him, cannot physically, psychologically, or emotionally undertake if the diagnosis of dementia is real. And I do not believe, and I'm not a medical doctor, but just like I don't need a degree to tell when someone has autism or something's a little bit off, you do not need to have a medical degree to look at this man and go, this man needs help. He needs love. He needs care. He needs to enjoy this last, hopefully decades of his life. We hope that he has a long-lasting life with his family. But being president of the United States is not something he's cognitively capable of doing.
Elijah Schaffer from You Are Here on Blaze TV. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
being
guys.
on the program. Appreciate it.